Press conferences this goes, ladies and gentlemen, the MLW CEO, Court Ballard.
All right, fire ready to go from this side to that side and just do a jump ball deal.
All right, cool. So I enjoyed the entire show. It was great from start to finish. You had a lot of surprises and everything. So I was just wondering, sometimes the creative process can get a little challenging,
Yes.
day by day or even week by week.
Very
do you
much.
ever experience imposter syndrome, and how do you get over that?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yes, all the time, and it's what drives you to work a little harder, work through things. You know, you have injuries that come up, things come up. We had a lot of travel canceled yesterday. We had all our talent coming in. A lot of them got delayed because of the weather in the Northeast. You have situations that pop up where, as the business heats up, weird things happen. All of a sudden, 2-3 years of guys that would typically, have no problem putting over someone. Now it's a negotiation, or just they're not going to do it. So it can get complicated and weird. So you have to go through all those things that, when the business is cool, everyone wants to get along and go along. When the business heats up, it can get a little more political and complicated. But we have a great team, and because we have a great team, we can work through a lot of things. I would be not anywhere without my team. My team is what makes this a success. It's a whole team thing.
Let's ask the hard one.
Star Wars?
No, not Star Wars this time.
I did not see episode 6, so don't talk to me about Obi-Wan.
All right, no Obi-Wan talk. It's been an interesting couple of weeks for a company you're currently suing.
Yes.
We've seen Vince McMahon settle the lawsuit with Oliver Luck over the XFL. Has there been any movement in the MLW WWE lawsuit as a result of the last couple of weeks in the Wall Street Journal story?
Yeah. No comment. I can't comment on pending legal, other than we're looking for our day in court. And as we go through this process, I continue to be increasingly optimistic that when we get to court, it's going to be favoring court.
Can you tell me what it meant to you to honor the superfan Vladimir here tonight at the Melrose Ballroom?
I mean, I grew up watching Vladimir on the WWE's MSG network shows, and it's like you're living vicariously seeing him get pumped watching the matches. You want to be right next to him, and you can see the passion and enthusiasm he has for wrestling and what that card was. And you're like, man, I didn't even know there was an MSG card coming up. He's got ringside seats. I didn't know. Sometimes I didn't even know it would pop up on the network. And this guy was plugged in. So when you see him at these shows years and years, you're like, my friends and I, one of them's over here from high school, we were just like, who is this guy? He's just like the coolest guy in the world to us. He's like, that's our wrestling's James Bond. He's like, we just think he's just flying from show to show. He's filthy rich, and he's got these cool connections. And, to hear about a documentary honoring him felt so fantastic and appropriate. And I hope the day comes when we can all enjoy that and celebrate his journey and learn about his journey. But as a super fan goes, tonight was important because without the fans, as we saw during the pandemic, wrestling lost its biggest star, which is everyone out there watching the show. They are the ones that make the stars stars. They are the soundtrack to the show. So Vladimir being given his moment, to me, was so important, and Mike Johnson was helpful in facilitating it. And without Mike, it wouldn't have happened. And I hope that Vladimir had a good time. It was the first time I've ever met him, and it was like I marked that for me, Vlad. I want to buy a Vlad t-shirt. I hope Vlad has t-shirts soon at Pro Wrestling Tees and everywhere else, because the dude is the man. So yeah, no, it was a privilege to be able to honor him and have him at our show.
Awesome news about the MLW action figures. Is there anything else you would like to do down the pipeline outside of the wrestling itself that, with merchandise-wise?
Yes, we'll be announcing something on the merchandise end in the next few weeks that will take MLW and the world of MLW to a larger level at the consumer licensing end, and we're excited about that. This summer is the summer of surprises, and I'm not going to overhype. We're just going to roll them out, and you decide if it lives up to the expectations. But we're, for 2 years, the pandemic set us back, and it was from licensing to then media rights deals, which were set back by powers outside our control. And now this summer, we're revving it up, and we think that we're on a trajectory that's going to be one that we're all going to be excited for. It's going to be great for the company. It's going to be great for our fans and our roster. So this summer, we're coming out roaring.
I was.
No Obi-Wan questions. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I do not.
I really loved episode 5.
I'm really not a Star Wars fan, so you're fine with me.
Okay.
But I was gonna ask if MLW can do a big super show with any other promotion, which one would it be?
Well, one of the things I thought of, what I really wanted to do at the end of the pandemic was what Inoki did in the 90s, which was this cool World Peace Festival where all the promotions come in, you have this cool event to celebrate the return of wrestling. It doesn't really work out like that because the rollout after the pandemic was kind of like touch and go. Everyone did their own thing. Some people didn't stop. We took a pause. So it's hard. Now it's like, I think the expectation is I'd love to do something with our partners, whether it's IWA Puerto Rico, AAA, Dragon Gate, Pro Wrestling Noah. All of our partners, they're important to me, and tonight was the start of maybe something with Impact, and we just like building bridges, and we're excited to see where they take us.
We saw Mance Warner pop up in the Battle Riot.
Yes.
Obviously, that was a legally contentious situation for a while. How'd that bridge get mended?
No joke. We had a phone call last night at 5:30. I said, "Hey, let's talk." And we felt really good at the end of that conversation. I said, "Hey, man, do anything tomorrow?" He goes, "No, I'm not." I said, "You want to do something?" And he was on a plane like a few hours later coming out to New York from Buckthorn, Tennessee, and it was great to have old Mansard back in the house.
Is he back regularly, or is it to be determined?
Yes, he will be back, and you can expect him on a regular basis moving forward. And what you saw with him and Mads tonight is probably kind of a breadcrumb for where he's headed next.
You mentioned the Impact connection. Davey Richards worked in Slammiversary this past Sunday. Sammy Callahan being in the Battle Riot tonight.
Right.
Some unique surprises tonight. Can you explain kind of how the Impact thing went, and also the debut of Parker Boudreaux for MLW too?
Sure. So we've had conversations with Scott for a while, just trying to figure out when is a good opportunity for both sides to work. And it kind of started to come together in the last month or so with Slammiversary, and they were planning some really cool stuff to celebrate their 20th year. And from there, one thing led to another. They had something interesting for Davey, and we had something interesting for Sammy. And when it works for both sides and meshes, that's great. And I'll say this, Scott Diamore, I'm so thankful for. I'm really appreciative that he was a part of this. Without his contributions, it wouldn't have been possible. And so, big shout out to Scott. We're really thankful for him. Same with Dorian Roldan and Conan AAA and their participation in tonight and in regular basis, and Savio with IWA Puerto Rico, and Mr. Keto with Dragon Gate. All with their participation tonight was possible. So, I think we're in a new era of wrestling where you can collaborate with other groups. You have to navigate their concerns and their needs, and I think it's been very helpful, and I think the next stage of this will be in Nashville with a big interpromotional title fight for Impact's top title. So, it's great for the fans, and when the fans win, we all win.
And Parker, if you can...
Sure, yeah, Parker's someone we spoke with a few weeks ago. We weren't really in a place where we were going to get a deal done, so talks ended, and that's when I said, don't expect him in the Battle Riot, which was absolutely the expectation. Talks started back up again Monday, and here we are on Thursday, and he was number 40.
Coming out of the pandemic, is there any cities that MLW would like to go to, whether it be for the first time or as a return that you haven't been there in a while?
Yeah, I want LA real bad. I want to hit LA, and it's on our list to hit Southern California. Is it going to be in the next 60, 90 days? It's possible. We have like a very fluid, revamped calendar happening, which is why Chicago had to move because of some pending business on the media rights front.
Can you explain the open door policy that you have? Like, I know there's no restrictions, but for any wrestler that's like watching this on the replay, to let them know that like it's still open and what can be and what you consider them to be MLW material.
Yeah, we always had like this 10% margin of our roster where it's just good to have free agents to mix it up so you're not kind of stuck with the same guys just going around and wrestling each other. So, whether that was in 2018 or 19 with like Brody King and those kind of guys, or in recent times with like Killer Cross, it just adds flexibility. It helps us when we can bring in star power, and we know they're here for X amount of dates, and then they know there's a beginning, middle, and end, and we know the beginning, middle, end, so we can give our fans a satisfying ending. But it's nice in this time and age where you can do those kind of things. And so, it's been good for us. Tonight was a great opportunity because we had the open door policy, and then you have new friends and old alliances and things like Impact, and then Dragon Gate and AAA. And it's great. It's great for the fans. It's great for us. It's great for the Battle Riot.
You mentioned the interpromotional title match that's going to take place at Ric Flair's last match show. How deep is MLW's involvement beyond Jacob Fatu appearing at that show and its StarCast in general?
Yeah, we're going to have a presence, and I've known Conrad for like 6-7 years, and he's putting together a Grand Slam show. It's been awesome to work with Conrad, and so he calls me up and says, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And I said, "All right, I think I'm liking it." And he's like the easiest guy to work with because he's got great ideas. And I think you're going to have on that night in Nashville a real celebration of wrestling, of all types of wrestling. And I think if you like throwbacks, you like the new school, you like the cutting edge, you like different companies, and you want to see different things, it's a great night. It's a great night for wrestling. And Conrad, I think for a lot of people, revived their love of wrestling from throwback podcasts, but also has the perspective of a fan and knows what a fan wants. So I think it's going to be a fun night for everyone in Music City.
Your return to New York mean to you today?
I love New York. I mean, I'm a New Yorker, so this is my house. So, we want to always over-deliver because it's a sense of pride. So I look at Fatu, and we sat down when we were going over the Battle Riot, and I told him you're winning it. So, your family goes back to the 70s, or you know that. When your father was like 17 or 18 and your uncle, Samu, was 17 or 18, they were main eventing the Garden. This is a city that's hosted some of the biggest, most momentous moments. And now it's your opportunity, and now you got to move that forward and represent. And so for us both, it means a lot to be in New York. And tonight was a special night. And the promo at the end, that was from the heart from Jacob. That was not me saying, "Hey, make sure you do this." That came from the heart. And I was so proud of him. And wrestling, when it comes from the heart, it's at its best. You can't script that.
We'll do this as our final question.
How do you feel about the build to Forbidden Door? Is there anything you would do differently if you had some choices behind it?
Yeah, I don't want to criticize another company. I mean, it's, we can look at every company. You can look at my company, and you could go and say, what if you did this differently? I'm not privy to the ebb and flow of the process of two companies trying to work together. I can tell you that there's always unique dynamics at play, especially if it's another country, the language barrier, and then companies that really are cautious and strategic about finishes. It's a complex thing, but I think again, you live in an age now where you have interpromotional stuff happening, and that's a great thing for fans. It's incumbent on the promoters to deliver and hopefully over-deliver for them, and that's all you hope for as a fan. And as someone in the business, you want everyone to do great business because then more people will love wrestling. More people love wrestling, it's going to benefit the wrestling business. One more question. I'll give you one last.
I was gonna say.
Fight for it. No.
I was gonna say, if you were a wrestler,
Yeah.
what would be your gimmick?
Oh man, I don't have the talent to be a wrestler. I wish I did.
If you were.
Well, I mean, when I first came into the business, I think I was recorded as being a member of the Samoan family. So I guess, if you're going to piggyback off of a family legacy, the Samoans are probably a good one to go with. So maybe I'd be the fake Samoan, maybe like a fake Von Erich or something, grow out my hair and see what that looks like. I don't know if I can do the skirt thing. I tried, probably fall on the way to the ring all the time. So I'd be the clumsy Samoan, clumsy fake Samoan. But guys, I hope you had a good time tonight. Thank you so much for coming out, and I will let you go so you don't have to be here asking me questions all night. So I can also go to sleep. But thank you guys. I appreciate your time. Hope you're well. Stay healthy, and thanks for having interest in MLW.
Of course.